What's up, guys? We're back. Joe on twos. I know it's been a while. I am very sorry. Got caught up in lots of this and that and this and that. But anyway, had a great track last time I rode on the track. And I said, well, time to buy a truck because I am planning on hitting the track as often as I can this coming season. So I went and bought a truck. And this is my Ford F350 2007 6-liter Powerstroke. And after seeing the following that these things have online because of them being somewhat of a problem child of a motor, I decided why not create content based off of this as well when I'm working on it. We have some work on it today. Basically, this is for not necessarily for my bike followers, but for 6.0 people. Long crank after sitting overnight. Pretty much starts up fine. Sometimes the long crank when hot. Haven't had a no start yet, which is why we're doing this preemptively. We're doing the dummy plugs and stand plugs. Basically, I got this truck. It's at 190,000 miles now. I put a couple thousand miles on it. I put the coolant filtration on it. I did some coolant. I did some fuse stuff. Basically, it seems like this truck is 100% stock, which is good. But it also means that it probably still has the stock dummy plugs and standpipes, which are prone to leak. So I'm going to go after the passenger side first. It seems to be a little bit easier. Clearance sometimes seems to be an issue with these trucks, but we're going to go at it. I already have my new stand plug and dummy plugs currently soaking in oil so that the O-rings are getting nice and saturated before we throw them in. I'm using Rotella T6 5W40. I have all my tools laid out and we're just going to get at it. So yeah, alright guys, we're just going to jump in and we're going to start with the hot side turbo piping. There's going to be 2 bolts, one up there which you can see, and one right down below my coolant filtration. It's okay, you guys will see it once you see it, but these are, I believe, 10mm bolts or 7/16. I've gotten them off before. You're just going to need a deep socket to get it off. And then I'm going to use my super long array of connectors to get down to this one. Alright, we're going to pull this guy out now. There we go. And set that down. Don't forget your turbo clamp if it falls off. So now we have good access to our ICP sensor, which you can see right here. We're gonna be careful when we unplug it. If you look closely, see how it has that white pigtail on it? That's a good thing. I have a late build model, 2007. If you don't have that pigtail, that could be causing tons of problems for you. The white piece that goes on top. I'm not going to take it off because I don't want it falling off. But we're going to kind of hang this off. We're going to eventually move all of that out of the way. What we're going to now do is crack open this. You know what we might need to do since I don't have a socket? We're going to remove this all before. But first we're going to end up taking off our terminal there. Alright. So I'm going to take our 10mm bolt off of our alternator terminal. Negative here. I'm going to save that. This way we just don't damage anything. Eventually that's going to get moved up with this harness. We're now going to these clips. Alright guys, so we got these 2 clips off of our glow plug module. It's a good time to inspect them. Mine are all looking pretty good. Tip, the clips on the bottom of both of them, which of course. So what I did was I reached down with my finger, pushed the clip, and then I used a flathead to kind of push it off. Now we're going to kind of get this harness. I'm also going to cut that off. So I cut off flow to my Wix coolant filtration. This is a new hose. I'm not really too worried about it breaking at all, so I'm going to then clamp it off. not super hard, just to stop any coolant from flowing out of it. All right, so now that's loose. We're gonna clamp that off. Oh. Learn a lesson from me. Make sure you do. I'm gonna show you what to do to avoid that right now. If you come over to this side, slowly release pressure, then it wouldn't have done that. So, learn my lesson. Fortunately, it's not hot. This truck is cold. So I wasn't worried about hot coolant getting shot at me, but now I have to worry about a mess. Just gonna tuck that over there. Give us a little bit more working room here. You're also going to want to disconnect your glow plug module up here. These are brand new. Alright, giving us some more working room. We're going to get our glow plug module out of the way before we try and move our cords. That's snow, it's not an 80s party. These are 10 mil. Should be 3 total. It's kind of in a triangle formation. You're gonna need a deep 10 mil for the second one. All right, guys. So we got the glow plug module harness off. There's actually only 2 bolts. I was wrong. One on the top, one on the bottom. The bottom one's kind of hard to get to with a socket, so I need to use a box wrench. It was kind of annoying, but she's out of there. Now we're gonna try and get this glow plug module harness out of the way. It's kind of giving me trouble. It is unlocked. We're just gonna hold on to it as we then give it the good old college try. There we go. Yeah. Now we're gonna feed this out of the way. Right now I'm just popping off some of the wire harness clips. Okay. We're also going to take off our mass airflow hose. It's just a simple hose back here that has a little clamper on it. It goes to your intake. Be careful, they can break, as these are not a lubricated hose. Okay, now we should be able to pop up harness out of the way, all the while trying to not destroy anything. Okay. That should give us enough room to get the valve cover out. When we need to, we can get our ICP sensor off, hopefully.
6 hours later.
Alright guys, so I was able to get the ICP sensor out. And as you can see, there's no oil right at the top, which means that it did drain back through the dummy plug overnight, which means we do need to get right in there. So, on to the next one. Alright guys, obviously we're not working on the truck. Turns out I don't have any 10mm deep sockets. I only have standard. Don't use standard. They don't work. Also, I'm here with my sister who's filming. She's a communications person. Turns out her car is leaking oil too. So 2 for 1. We're going to get some stuff at Advanced Auto Parts. So we'll be right back with the right parts. Alright guys, it's Christmas in December. Basically. We got our parts and time to get back to the truck.
We'll put in
All right,
20
guys.
hours later.
Yeah. So, this nut, I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about the nut. Although I was a nut, because I tried using a 3/8 on these until I went out, as you saw, and bought a 10mm deep. Don't use 3/8. Otherwise, unless you really just feel like wasting daylight. Eventually I was able to hammer on a I forget, I think it's like what, 13-star point socket or 12, whatever they are. I don't spend my time counting socket points, but I had to hammer this guy on. Whoa. Lots of PB blaster. I also smashed my finger, but I didn't want to torch it to heat it up because there's wires right there. This is what happens when you don't use the right socket. Don't use standard, use metric. Alright guys, now with my 10mm deep socket, we're going to go for, since I have an automatic transmission, we're going for the automatic transmission dipstick. Just one bolt. In the back. Of course, these all require deep sockets, and yet, so what might help is a swivel. And a good stepping stool that doesn't kick out on you every 5 seconds, but just a note to Ford, make your trucks easier to work on. The 6.7s and 6.4s that came after this truck, honestly, are even harder to work on. They seem to be going in a negative trend. Alright guys, I just pulled off the bracket for the glow plug module. Right now I'm just spraying my valve cover bolts with some like PB blaster stuff. Alright guys, right now I'm just moving, I honestly don't know the name of it, this canister. I'm just unbolting it because the 2 hinge points are blocking me from getting to my transmission dipstick bolt. That should give me enough room. Yeah. Alright, I got the bolt loose. Now I just need to actually get it off. Alright guys, so there we go. Now I'm removing the valve cover bolts. Make sure that the ones with the studs, that means the bolt that's coming out of the top of it, make sure they all go to the back the same place. On the left side it's easy. All of them except for the back 3 are studs, so just remember that these do need to go back into the same place. The valve cover gasket is reusable. I will wipe it down though, but first let's focus on actually getting the bolts off. Again, don't use a 3/8 or, well, half-inch. Don't try not to use a half-inch socket on these. It has too much play, and you'll strip your valve cover bolts. You don't want to do that. A ratcheting box end will save you some time here, which is why I picked it up at the store. It's also a good thing because I don't have a 12mm socket. These are not supposed to be torqued on very heavy, guys. Only like 8 foot-pounds. So when you're putting them back on, don't go to town. But it also means that they shouldn't be too difficult to get off. Obviously, keeping in mind that depending on how old they are, probably have some corrosion on them. But mine seem to be posing no major issues yet. And honestly, after about like 2 turns or so, I'm finding that they're finger tight. So it's a good sign. Doing the last studded bolt. Are you able to see it?
No.
Kinda. It's under tubes. It's okay. It's not really like, it's all the same if you've been seeing the other ones. Alright. So this is the last of the studded bolts. And I believe we have 1, 2, 3 regulars, which are in a difficult position. Alright guys, so right back here, if you see the tip, is where that one bolt was. Can you see it?
Wait, hold on. Wait.
It's right in that general region.
That's it.
And then there's 2 more down below here. That feeling when you get the right nut? Wait a second. No!
Mission failed. We'll get 'em next time.
What I got the one difficult one. Well, not all the way. Jeez, have patience. This looks like a good place for a nap. Alright guys, after this bolt, 1 more. Well, it's a nut. Okay, sorry. Actually, wait, no, these are bolts. These are nuts. Got him. If your hands don't look like, if your boyfriend's hands don't look like this and he has a diesel, you're dating a girl.
Damn!
Uno más. Just try to avoid pressuring your transmission tube. I'm trying to keep it on the left of my arm since my arm is pressing on the right. You don't want to cause more problems for yourself when trying to fix a problem. This last one's kind of tough. So you might have to get a little intimate with your machine. There we go. Alright guys, the last one. And we finally get to do what we came here for. Real quick shout out. I'm new to the diesel community, especially the 6.0. But Diesel Tech Ron, I've been watching his videos and he's already been helping me tons with this truck. And he did pass away back in 2016, I believe, from a car accident. But just a shout out to him. I know he was a big influence for the community. So if anybody comes across this video, know that Diesel Tech Ron is getting me where I'm going. So especially to his family who posted his last video after the accident, just know he's still making a difference. All right, and now tell me there's one more bolt. There's one more bolt in the back. So now I got the last bolt, and like I said earlier, I don't know why I didn't count, because I only have 10 bolts up here, and like I said earlier, there are 11 valve cover bolts. 7 studded and 4 traditional Alright. Now the valve cover, ouch, is ready to come out. Probably with some love, but she'll come out. There goes coolant. Alright, valve cover is out. We're going to clean this before we throw it back on. Don't forget your gasket. Be more gentle with this, as you do want to reuse it. Alright, use a clean rag to wipe down and inspect your gasket. Okay. You can't put it on wrong directionally because it's only one way, but you do want to make sure it doesn't go on upside down. Actually, I think, yeah, it's the same both ways, which means you don't even have to worry about upside down versus right side up, but I would say try to put it the same way. So, ICP dummy plug stand plug. We're gonna do. So the fact that my 10 millimeter fits means that these are the original ones, which are very prone to leaking. So it's a good thing we're changing them. On the way out, doesn't matter. You can use an Allen if you have it. On the way in, they do need to be torqued. So I did buy. Oof, that's on there tight. You don't want to. I repeat, you do not want to strip these. I'm just gonna give her a good old. There we go, she's loose. These are torqued to 60 pounds, so it's not out of the ordinary for them to be tight. But once you get them loose, they should, like everything, come out. You also just want to be careful, don't get debris in the top of your case. There's not much here that I see can go in. I did do a visual inspection before I started today. These are definitely going to be annoying on the way out, but on the way in we do have a socket. I'd be tempted to pull the yellow out of the transmission. Don't. Apparently it makes it harder on reinstall. Alright guys, my dummy plug's about to come out. These are the most common and most likely to fail, especially passenger side. Passenger side dummy plug. So we're going to look at it.
Sunlight.
So we're going to clean this off, and you can already tell. So top seal looks pretty good. A little bit of chewing. Bottom seal, look at that. That is supposed to be filled, and it's not supposed to be deformed and chewed up like that. That's why what's happening is the oil overnight, when it's hot, I have a slightly rough idle, and that's because oil's seeping past here, so the truck has to keep compensating for it. And then once I park it, it all slowly seeps out. And then when I go to start the truck, it's a long crank because it has to build pressure in the oil well system before it can fire the injectors. So let's go look at what the correct one could look like. So remember, these 10 millimeter are going to be the old style, and from XDP Performance, new style, it's going to be 12 mil, and if you get really close, you can see that O-ring fills.
Because it's going back and forth to focus.
That O-ring fills the entire area. So these have been soaking in oil for a while, so it should be more than fine to just throw in. So we're going to go throw this into the motor
Come
right now.
next to it for comparison.
So you can see the Teflon tape is what keeps the overall. The Teflon tape is there to keep the ring from moving, and they have a really good success rate with this. So this is from XDP Diesel Performance in New Jersey. I'm just gonna. What we are finally doing something where we're tightening bolts instead of trying to loosen them. So I'm gonna get this all the way down, and then I'm gonna use my torque wrench and set it to 60 foot-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench, once you're working on internals, just like this plug, don't be a dummy, be a smarty. But check back in after if it actually works, then go by what I say. Better to 60. First, we'll do 30, and then we'll do 60. That's 30. Sometimes when it comes to torque wrenches, I like to start with a low torque and then do it again, just because these things are, I think, pretty sure they're hydraulic. So I'm going to make sure the fluids are flowing fine in there. Set her to 60. Alright. Now she is on there and tightened. Next, we're going to inspect our breather valve. So if you come over here, this is for the opposite. This is driver side ICP plug. Now we're going to go take out the standpipe. Again, this is going to be on there a little tight. I got the standpipe loose. On the standpipes, they're not known to fail as commonly, but while I'm here, we're going to replace it anyway. And when they do fail, it's very rarely the lower sections. So if we run into trouble getting the lower section out with clearance, I might just leave it in and just do the top section, because I don't think they've ever recorded really the bottom ends failing. Just the top ends, but not nearly as common as dummy plugs. So this has oil all over it. This pipe back here is in oil, which is a good sign, which means it most likely didn't fail. But it is a good sign that this guy's got oil, because it means the seals were holding it on this end of the thingy. You can see really no chewing up at the seals, which is great. That means we pretty much found our problem, guys, by fixing the other end. But we have the new parts that can keep them from failing, so we're gonna throw them in. real quick, we're going to see if we have the clearance to get these magnetic. Yes, they are. We're going to see if we have the clearance to get the bottom half out. A trick I've seen them do is, now that we've got it out, use the old one to can't get to the bottom one, so we're just going to leave her, throw the new guy in, nice and shiny, not for long. Alright guys, I just torqued down the standpipe. Again, I left the old lower in because I couldn't get it out, but those aren't known to fail, so I'm not really worried about that. Now, all we have left to do, I'm not going to be doing the opposite side today, so all we have left is to reassemble the all we have left is to reassemble the cover, and then we're good. And what we're going to do is, when it's all said and done, we're going to take the starter plug off the side over here, and we're going to do 2 to 3 15-second intervals of cranking the motor over without starting it, like, because you have to build up all that oil that's supposed to be in there. Then we'll give her a fire up and let her run to recharge the batteries, but hopefully fixes our problem. Again, it was a great sign that the that's not seeing through. It's a great sign that this was in great shape, because that means that this was our problem child, and that means we should be good to go. But now I'm just going to take my time, put it all back together. Catch you guys next time. Let me know if you guys think of this. If you're a 6.0 owner and you liked it, great. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to be doing the driver's side another day because it is getting late and I need to get this thing back together. Thanks for checking in. I'll catch you guys next time. Go in peace. Peace out.